Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, home of the all-time Steelers. The fans are beginning to file in for the biggest game of the year. It's the Steelers and the Raiders in the AFC Championship game. Big Ben Roethlisberger beat out four-time Super Bowl champion Terry Bradshaw for the #1 position for the all-time Steelers, and he didn't look back. On the heels of a nearly perfect game against the Browns last week, the 2004 Offensive Rookie of the Year and the two-time Super Bowl champion has been red hot as of late. His opponent today is a familiar foe, winner of the 1974 NFL MVP, a four-time Pro Bowler and a Super Bowl XI champion, Kenny the Snake Stabler, coming in after an overtime win against the Colts last week, have a chance to pull off the upset on the road in Pittsburgh today. A familiar rivalry, the Immaculate Reception was the first playoff meeting between these two, and Franco Harris and the Steelers meet these Raiders yet again with a trip to the Dream Bowl on the line tonight. It's the AFC Championship game. Raiders and Steelers. The kickoff is coming up next.
In Oakland, it's always been Al's way. Both bold and intimidating. Like a Bob to Bolitnikov or a Gene Upshaw forearm. To just win, baby. These are the Raiders. Pittsburgh, PA. The blue-collar city is black and yellow, both immaculate and terrible. From the steel curtain to the catch, it's always been about winning. One move. These are the Steelers.
Welcome to Pittsburgh on a beautiful Saturday night for the all-time rosters AFC Championship game featuring the Raiders and the Steelers. Nick Rice, Phil Nunziata in our halftime studios, Hank Cinnamon for the best two teams in the AFC for the final game of the year in the AFC. Raiders and Steelers in Pittsburgh. Daniels returns to the 20. Now onto the field, Hall of Famer Ken Stabler brings in the league's third best completion percentage and has had a fabulous year, Phil, for the Raiders.
He absolutely has, and Ken Stabler is looking to bring his Raiders back to the Dream Bowl, a place he's been many times before in the history of this great series. But to do it, he's got to knock off Pittsburgh on the road. Let's see if he can pull it off.
His Raiders begin at their own 20 to begin the game with three receivers out there. Stabler immediately under duress. James Harrison, the 2008 Defensive Player of the Year, in for the Steelers sack.
There's not a lot of guys on the Steeler defense you'd want to get hit by, but James Harrison has got to be last on the list. Not a great start for the Raiders.
Stabler does get rid of it this time and finds an open Dave Casper for the first down, a gain of 23.
Often the security blanket in this Raiders offense. He showed why there on a 3rd down and 18, just with no pressure at all, able to find Dave Casper, cuts upfield, makes the first down. Tro Polamalu gets to tackle him from behind after a huge first down, and that digs them out of the early hole that the defense tried to put them in.
There may have been no more popular connection in the 70s than Stabler and Casper, and they connect for the opening first down of the day. Allen over the middle, gains about 6. Part of a Raiders offense, they come into the game ranked second to only Green Bay in scoring this year. Allen, Reese, Brown, Casper, and Bolitnikov, plenty of Hall of Fame talent.
Hall of Fame talent all over the field on both sides of the ball for both of these teams. It's about what you'd expect when we get this deep into the playoffs.
Fourth play this opening drive. Stabler back, and he throws on a 2nd down to a wide-open Tim Brown, who moves the chains. Well, you know, Jerry Rice, Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, those are the top leaders in all-time career receiving yards. Then coming in at number 7 is the quiet and steady Tim Brown out of the 1990s and early 2000s. Great receiver in this offense. In fact, he's got another catch and another Raider first down.
Yeah, one of the more quote-unquote modern players you will see in the silver and black here today, but top 10 statistically in a lot of the receiving categories. He's not a name that pops up immediately, to your point, but when you look at the numbers, he's there in every category, one of the all-time greats.
Play action from Stabler is looking his way and checks it down to Allen for the gain of 6. Steelers are also loaded with Hall of Famers, especially on that defense. 2010 Defensive Player of the Year Troy Polamalu, Rod Woodson, the two Jacks out of the dynasty, Jack Ham and Jack Lambert, joined by Mean Joe Green. Stabler's begun the day 5 for 5 in his Raiders against the vaunted Steeler defense. Line up near the red zone on 2nd and 4. Play action. And that hit the helmets of the running back, incomplete.
That's the third attempt. That one was to Bo Jackson. The first two to Marcus out, a little curl route with your running back. That one, like you said, off of his helmet. They've already looked at that route several times here today. Big third down.
Stabler looking for the deep route this time, and Powell's got it for a touchdown.
Powell just gets behind the defense. I'm sure guys like Dave Casper and Tim Brown had the defense, on their mind, but Powell just sneaks behind everyone, blows the top off, and finds it right in the corner of the end zone.
A beautiful catch in that corner. For all of the great receivers of the Raiders, the man number 2 in yards per game all time, he was as fast as they come out of the 1960s, Art Powell. Many playmakers in this Raiders offense, and it is the 4-time Pro Bowler Art Powell for the opening touchdown of the day for Oakland, Las Vegas, Los Angeles. Glad you're with us in the AFC Championship from overcast Pittsburgh as this kickoff sails into the end zone. Steelers bring out their number 1 quarterback. He had to win the job over Terry Bradshaw, and for Big Ben Roethlisberger, he was very steady for nearly 2 decades in the NFL.
Definitely a surprise for most people that he was able to beat out probably the fan favorite, I would say, in Terry Bradshaw for this starting job. They have not looked back and had themselves in a position to reach the Dream Bowl.
He'll hand to Franco Harris, who's very familiar with these Raiders. The reception, immaculate in 1972. Gain of 19 to Franco and a first down.
Penn State legend Franco Harris, first touch of the game, takes it nearly 20 yards right up the middle and isn't touched till about the first down marker there. This team is definitely going to look to be run heavy, play action for some passes downfield to guys like Antonio Brown, and that's how they're going to attempt to win this football game.
John Henry Johnson is the Steelers' starting fullback. He gains maybe a yard on that reception. Pittsburgh, a lowly 22nd at offense this year despite the talent. Brown and Stallworth are the receivers, Heath Miller at tight end, and Franco Harris joins number 35, John Henry Johnson. Pittsburgh didn't really need to move the ball much at all with how good their defense was in the regular season, but when asked, this offense is highly explosive. Third play of the drive, first target to the tight end. First down, Heath Miller.
Talk about a fan favorite in Pittsburgh, the ever-reliable Heath Miller. Was on the team for nearly a decade, on some Super Bowl level teams with Pittsburgh. The fans love this guy, even if he's not the superstar that you see from the outside on this offense.
He is the lead tight end in maybe the weakest spot on that Pittsburgh team. They are loaded at offensive line, running back, receiver, and quarterback. But tight end features Heath Miller and a tight end out of the 90s, Eric Green, as the top 2 in this offense. Certainly not the superstars we see at other positions. Toss to Harris, who gains about 5 on the play.
Yeah, not a superstar, to your point, on 2 Super Bowl championship teams with Pittsburgh, as well as a 2-time Pro Bowler. So Heath Miller has done his part in the past, and they can lean on him late in games.
Well, in the 2000s, they did the Steelers on the bus late in games, and they'll lean on him here. First down, Jerome Bettis.
That's another example of just sure and steady can win the race for them. If he can get 5 yards a clip like he did just there, Pittsburgh's going to be cruising down the field.
We have two of the top 15 all-time leading rushers in NFL history on the same team, Franco Harris and Jerome Bettis for Pittsburgh. Le'Veon Bell stuffed in the backfield. Raiders defensively were brutal all year. Willie Brown, Mike Haynes, Lester Hayes, Ted Hendricks, and Jack Tatum, with one exception defensively. The Raiders, with all that outstanding talent in the secondary, were among the league's best in takeaways. They are a very opportunistic defense and have certainly designs on a couple takeaways in today's game. Roethlisberger, with plenty of time, launches out of bounds, incomplete.
That one falls incomplete. It's going to bring up a big third down. To touch on the running back situation one more time, it's almost hard to comprehend that a guy like Le'Veon Bell would be third string in a backfield, but that's just how loaded they are at that position.
And their fourth stringer, Bill Dudley, is a member of the Hall of Fame and an MVP winner back in the 1940s. Roethlisberger completes to Antonio Brown, who will set him up in field goal range when we come back. We're live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Raiders up 7 in the AFC Championship game. Nick Rice, Phil Nunziata, and in our halftime studios, Hank Cinnamon. Plenty of Hall of Fame talent. In fact, a combined 33 players with gold jackets and a total of 69 All-Pro players on display today. Field goal good by one of those in Sean Sweesom. And our score is 7-3, Raiders in the lead. We'll check out the hold from Bradshaw and the make from Sweesom to put Pittsburgh on the board. The all-time Pittsburgh Steelers, winners of 6 Super Bowl championships. That is tied for the most in the National Football League. Meanwhile, the Raiders come in after a big win against the Colts last week in the divisional round. By way of the comeback, are the upset team in the AFC. Howie Long, with his first career playoff interception, sunk into coverage. Manning didn't see him. And that's how the Raiders enter this one in the AFC Championship game as a team, really a darling team, yet again, that goes on the road and wins once more. The pass is complete to Biletnikoff for the gain of 6.
Yeah, that Colts game really something special, an instant classic. The Colts were 9-1 leading at the half, leading into the second half of that game. Kent Stabler threw his first interception at home all season. Things were not looking good for him, but they do what great teams do, and they found a way to win.
Play action, and Browns got it for a first down. And similar to that narrative, Pittsburgh hasn't been trailing in a game at this point in the second quarter in about 2 months. And this is a rare spot for them on defense, down early in this one. Raiders, they'll go back to the ground with Marcus Allen, wrapped up by Harrison on a gain of 4.
We talked about the loaded running back position for Pittsburgh. Oakland, Las Vegas, Los Angeles can look at that and say, we got a couple Heisman Trophy winners in our backfield, not to mention a few others. So definitely a lot of great talented people in the backfield for both of these teams.
Hammered by Polamalu for a loss. Big hit in the backfield by the Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah, nobody sniffs it out in the backfield quite like Troy Polamalu, and it was on display right there.
3rd down and 9 to go. Raiders this year were 42%. Complete to Casper right at the marker. Butler was there to hammer him at the 43-yard line, but it did not matter. First down, Raiders.
That hit was necessary to get the first down. He took it and held on to the ball. That's a big part of this. Big first down.
Well, to your point earlier, Phil, Raiders running back room. Marcus Allen is their leader, winner the MVP award in 1985. Bo Jackson, Josh Jacobs, and Clem Daniels are the other running backs on this roster. Allen gained 7 on the play. Marcus Allen, in that MVP season, ran and caught for over 2,300 yards. That was the 9th most in a season all time. His start of his career as good as anybody in the league. He was outstanding in the 80s, fell off a bit in the 90s. Rod Woodson, a star of the 90s, with the interception for Pittsburgh, and he's taken down.
Thought he had space there going to Tim Brown. Rod Woodson jumps the route after an initial jam. Look at this comeback speed. Runs the route for him, gets the interception. That's a big takeaway for Pittsburgh.
Now, certainly I'm on an island on this one, but I think Rod Woodson's the best corner all time. A lot of people put Deion in front of him, but when you look at the numbers and how he won with a couple franchises, Pittsburgh and Baltimore, Rod Woodson was as good as they come.
Definitely in the conversation, and especially late in his career in those Baltimore days, just the way he was able to see the game, anticipate routes, that kind of stuff never leaves you, even when the physicality might overcome.
Maybe Deion was a better all-around player. His returning was second to none. But when you think of who has the most pick sixes in NFL history, you think, oh, that has to be Deion. It was actually Rod Woodson. He was as good as they come at taking away the ball and returning for touchdowns. Roethlisberger throws as soon as he got hit, incomplete to Harris.
Has his pass fall incomplete.
The first takeaway of the day for that Pittsburgh defense, the 7th of the playoffs, sets up Roethlisberger and company with good field position. Roethlisberger's going deep and is nearly picked off by Mike Haynes.
That'll bring up a big third down as he was trying to get John Stallworth involved. Not a terrible idea, but he's yet to catch a pass here this afternoon.
Same deal with the slot receiver on this play, Hines Ward. Roethlisberger going deep to Brown, and he's all alone for a 47-yard Pittsburgh touchdown.
So there must have been a bit of miscommunication in that secondary as he's wide open from Jump Street. He gets right by his defender, and we're going to see the other look at it here. The safety sticks with Heath Miller up the seam, and that just leaves nobody between Brown and the end zone. Easy 6 for Pittsburgh.
Many know the Hall of Fame duo of John Stallworth and Lynn Swann, but the best receiver in this franchise history is the man out of small school Central Michigan who terrorized opponents with Big Ben in the 2010s, Antonio Brown. And he's on the heels of a great game last week against Cleveland. He played in just the first half before going down with a chest contusion. He had 3 catches, 101 yards, and 2 touchdowns in the Pittsburgh blowout. 6 takeaways from that defense as well, including a pick 6 from Mel Blount. Not too often you see a game in the playoffs in which an opponent loses by 41 points. That was Cleveland against these Steelers last week.
Yeah, absolutely not. And you saw the over 100-yard day, 2 touchdowns from Brown. It almost wasn't needed with a defensive performance like that.
And if there's anyone who can overcome a mistake, it is Ken Stabler. But he's got to be thinking about all the picks Otto Graham threw last week, and he's got to be careful to avoid the same story today. His Raiders will go run with Allen, who gets hammered in midair by Jack Lambert.
Yeah, the hole closed up immediately. Allen goes for a hurdle over a downed Pittsburgh defender and gets cracked for his troubles for a loss of 1.
Ham and Lambert healthy throughout the year, leading the way for the best scoring defense and the best total defense in this league this year. They were fabulous all season. Stabler unloads into traffic, and Donnie Shell takes it away for another Steeler interception.
Things are unraveling here for the Raiders. The terrible towels are out in the stands, and another interception. This one by Shell breaks on the out route that Tim Brown is running, nearly takes it in for 6, and Pittsburgh sitting pretty in the red zone as they start this drive.
Reminiscent of the complete second quarter collapse Graham and company had against these Steelers last week. We'll see if the Raiders can buckle down to the red zone. Jet sweep to Stallworth, and he is buried to the backfield, and the Raiders are going to call a timeout. Interesting decision, as maybe they try and slow down this high-powered Pittsburgh offense. Roethlisberger from the 12 fires the Swan, who gains about 4. Timeout.
Trying to spread the ball around a little bit. You don't want to get too cute in the red zone. You're already third and behind the sticks, if you will. See if they convert.
Well, he's a capable runner, but doesn't gain much. You know, the quarterback battle, a very interesting one, but when you look at the numbers, Roethlisberger was very good for a long time as he sets up Schweischem for the field goal here. Roethlisberger, 5th on the all-time passing list. It's amazing how good he was, just behind Brady, Breeze, Manning, and Favre. Number 5, Big Ben Roethlisberger.
Nick, I got a question, though. another thing that's known for Roethlisberger is how tough he is to bring down, whether it be in the pocket or when he takes off to run. I got to question that slide a little bit. I feel like he could have broken a tackle, gotten the touchdown, or at least a first down there.
And usually Roethlisberger wouldn't play conservative like that. So I'm with you, something to ask about. And, you got to question something for the Steelers. Up 13-7, there's still ways that they can improve. And I'm sure Chuck Noll will have a similar comment at the half. Brown gets decleated as we go into the 2-minute warning. That's a hit he'll remember tomorrow.
Absolutely. And to your point, it was a big interception by Pittsburgh with only getting a field goal there. Still one possession game. That was overall a missed opportunity there for Pittsburgh.
Second down and a yard to go. Stabler guns it into traffic again. That would have been the third interception in as many drives from Ken Stabler.
Yeah, I believe that was Shell again, broke on that route. Said, I've seen this movie before. Almost got his hands on another one.
2 interceptions for the defense, 2 more dropped interceptions. Deep ball from Stabler, and that is nearly picked off by Mel Blount. These defensive backs are glued to these receivers, Phil.
Yeah, they have not left a lot of room other than a couple maybe early completions when Stabler had 5 in a row. Now we have one of the all-time best in the punting situation, Shane Leckler, out here to boot this one away.
Another heated position battle. Hall of Famer Ray Guy losing out to Shane Leckler in the preseason. Antonio Brown with a good block downfield. Wrapped up by Nnamdi Asomugha, a great return.
Nnamdi Asomugha a little buried on this depth chart as well, but there was a time, you talk about greatest corners of all time, he's kind of faded from that conversation, but there was easily a 4 or 5 year stretch that Asomugha was mentioned a lot when that conversation would come up.
Roethlisberger finds John Stallworth, who's in that great receiver combo in the 70s. He makes another catch here. He joins Hines Ward, Antonio Brown, Lynn Swann, Santonio Holmes, and Lewis Lips as the receivers for this offense. Hit as he throws. Ward dropped it. Big hit from Lester Hayes.
Yeah, Hayes bringing the boom on that one. He probably gets the completion and goes out of bounds before that. Brings up another third down. He was able to loft that one over the entire defense's head. Not able to break on it to make a play of the ball, so you got to play the receiver.
Roethlisberger on a third down. He's looking long. Not much is open. He'll take a shot downfield, and that is tipped away by Terry McDaniel. The Raiders are a team a lot like the Steelers on defense. They are a heavy-hitting, talented group out there, especially in the secondary, and they are certainly not afraid of the moment. We see them forcing a 3-and-out right here. Jordan Berry, fabulous punter of the 2010s, and boy, is this a great punt. Out of bounds at the 1.
Does not get any better for that. As in the words of Pat McAfee, that one's for the brand. Coffin kick right to, I'm not even going to call it the 1. That's at the half-yard marker. The Raiders could not have farther to go on this drive after that beautiful punt.
No one was better in Steeler history at pinning opponents inside the 20 than Jordan Berry. Outcut, and that pass is complete to Art Powell. That's a head-scratcher.
Yeah, we're going to take another look at it here, and he just mistimed where he was. His both feet were already out of bounds when he made that catch. To talk punters here real quick, I never miss an opportunity to do that. One of the greatest of all time is playing for the Raiders to see if Ray Guy has the ability to impact this game at any point.
Well, first is Raiders. Certainly hope he doesn't even see the field. Biletnikoff makes the catch, and he does have it for first down. First sighting of the day from the Hall of Famer Fred Biletnikoff, who coupled with Stabler to win MVP honors in Super Bowl 11 against Minnesota. Stabler's looking his way again, and it's amazing how many dropped interceptions we've seen today, Phil.
He was already thinking about his touchdown dance on that one. That's the only reason I could think to drop that pass. He read it perfectly, had both hands on it, and it just falls incomplete, which I don't know how that happened.
One of the best defensive backs of the 90s to not make the Hall of Fame, Carnell Lake. Great athlete there to jump the route and get his hands on it. In cut to Branch, hammered by Polamalu, first down.
Less than a minute to go here. They're going to have to move quickly, but it's nice to see them moving the ball again.
Stabler unloads to Bolitnikoff, and he's got another first down. One thing that is a benefit for the Raiders is that they have been spending a majority of the time on the field. That Pittsburgh secondary's got to be a little tired right now as they yet again are trying to buckle down late in this half. Out cut to Branch, who gains another couple. Donnie Shell with the tackle.
Nick, I don't know about you, but every time Stabler now throws outside the numbers on those big out routes, I kind of hold my breath based on these early interceptions.
Raiders taking their time here. What are they doing? 11 seconds to go. 10 seconds over the middle. Bolitnikoff gets hammered at the 37. Now, we're going to sneak in a late field goal here, folks. Somehow they got it back onside. 54 yards, and it's good from Janikowski.
That may be the most impressive couple seconds of this game. The fact that they were able to get the whole offense off the field, get the whole team on there, that was incredible.
It's Hank with the halftime recap of the AFC Championship game between the all-time great Raiders and Steelers here in Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh Steelers had 2 turnovers in this game on defense. This by Donnie, scoop it up with a shell. And Rod Woodson as well. He would have 4 tackles and an interception in the first half. So it's not been a good game for Ken Stabler in terms of the turnover margin, as the Raiders have 2. But they have been using their defense well to stop the Steelers. So this is a defensive contest between these two teams. Let's see what happens in the second half. Back to Nick with the second half.
We're back to Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. The all-time Steelers lead 13-10 at halftime.
Very even game so far. Pittsburgh taking advantage to some degree on some early turnovers. The run game nearly non-existent for both teams as Pittsburgh's up by 3 with a Dream Bowl trip on the line. Let's see how the second half plays out.
This kickoff sailing through the end zone for a touchback. Before we start the second half, Phil, to close that first half, the Raiders executed that scoring drive to perfection from their own 1 to field goal range for Janikowski. Incredible they were able to sneak in some points, and who knows, in a tight game like this, that may be the difference. Franco Harris gains 8 on the ground.
Yeah, Nick, halftime has came and went. I'm still processing how they were able to get the whole special teams unit on the field just in time to boot what was not a gimme by any means, a 50-plus yard field goal. That could easily be the play of the game if this works out for the Raiders.
Well, there may be no long ball kicker in the history of the game than Sebastian Janikowski, and he hammered another one for the Raiders. First down, Franco Harris in a gain of 7. The all-time Steelers were outgained by 66 yards in that first half, but still lead on the scoreboard. The bus downhill to the 43.
Number 36 gets the call.
I mentioned hasn't been a lot of running success for both these teams. Pittsburgh was at 31 yards at halftime. Oakland only at 7. So that shows you that I think it was only 1 carry that got them that point. And Pittsburgh's looking to change that, and a good way to do that, hand it to the bus.
Roethlisberger overthrows Brown. It was a tight window, but an open window. Antonio Brown, 3 times finished top 3 for the Offensive Player of the Year award. Terrific football player out of the 2010s. Really had a disastrous close to his career, but was terrific in his Pittsburgh days. Franco Harris, what he hopes is a first down, needs the 45, and he got the 45. First down, Pittsburgh.
Just the hair of the football there to pick up the big first down, keeping this one going for Pittsburgh, hoping to extend this to a multi-score situation.
So look at these two franchises. Pittsburgh has won 6 Super Bowls, but the Raiders in their franchise have earned 3 Super Bowls and have made it to 5. Certainly a formidable opponent in today's game. Roethlisberger, you look at his numbers, 8 of 15 for 90 yards this afternoon.
Yeah, not numbers that are going to pop off the screen by any stretch of the imagination for either team. I don't know if the weather's affecting that or just the way these teams play defense. But points that are hard to come by in the first half and continuing that way in the third.
Roethlisberger finds Brown, who yet again gets nailed at the 42. He's been their best receiver tonight.
That's got to be the 4th or 5th time across both teams that we've seen guys go over the middle to get that first down, but they pay for it every time.
That time Dan Connors laid the boom on that play. Roethlisberger took plenty of time to find Stallworth for 4, maybe 5. Hall of Famer John Stallworth, a 3-time Pro Bowler out of small school Alabama A&M, part of that dynasty of the Steelers in the 1970s, who seemed to always defeat the Raiders during that decade in the NFL. And they yet again are terrorizing that secondary in a long Pittsburgh drive. Over the middle to Stallworth again, and he gets nailed again. And this time Stallworth goes down.
Yeah, you had a feeling that might be the case after a hit like that. That's his first, huge catch of the game, big first down. But he paid for that one as we saw the sandwich as the safety comes over to decleat him. And yeah, that's not what you like to see if you're Pittsburgh or anybody really.
Terry McDaniel, the man who laid the collision. He is subbing in for the only injured Raider today, Jack Tatum. That pass is incomplete. Long drive here from Pittsburgh, and coming out in the second half, it's the perfect type of drive. Raiders defense looks gassed right now. Players' hands on their hips. They look tired, and the Steelers are in rhythm right now. Harris, the call, and he gains 2 on the ground. Mike Haynes makes the stop.
You did mention, in the first half, one of the things the Raiders had going for them was time of possession, definitely had longer drives than Pittsburgh. And the Steelers come out in the second half looking for a long drive of their own, and that's going to help the defense be that much more rested to get back on the field. They've already got 2 turnovers today. Maybe they can get another one because they're well rested.
Roethlisberger tucks it and has a first down for Pittsburgh. They had just 4 first downs in the first half, 4 on this drive alone. This is a back-breaking run from Big Ben.
Absolutely is, and this is what we're used to for Ben. He still slid on this one, but it was well after the first down. That one made a little more sense to me, but yeah, very choosy on when he's taken off. He's only done it twice today, but they've both been big runs for him.
Brown spilled at the 8, and whenever the Raiders get the ball back here, Phil, unless it's a takeaway here, they're facing a deficit and very little time left in the third quarter.
Yeah, it will depend on if it ends in 3 or 6. That's really going to affect their plan of attack from here. But these next couple plays could really tell the tale of this ball game.
Not too often, Bettis is driven backwards. Lester Hayes the tackle, and it's 3rd and goal.
Big third down here for Pittsburgh at the 9. We'll see if they, I assume they're going to throw it here. They're a little too far, but they do have 2 guys in the backfield, so you never know.
Roethlisberger's looking long and throws to Brown, who really didn't have much of a chance. And a 6-minute and 31-second long drive for Pittsburgh ends with a field goal. This is Sean Sweesom from 26. Set from Bradshaw, and the kick is good. Steelers are up by 6 points late in the third quarter of the AFC Championship game.
The kick is good.
His 3rd field goal of the day. Sean Sweesom played early in the 2010s for Pittsburgh. In his career, making 88% of his kicks. Terrific player for them. Brown returns to the 25. We look at the quarterback numbers today, Phil. Stabler, more yards, better completions, but 2 turnovers.
If you're the Raiders here, haven't seen the field in what's probably been an hour for them at this point. 2 turnovers. And if they go down the field and score, they have the lead in this game. So everything very much still in front of the Silver and Black.
And they'll begin with a big play to Brown, and that gives the quarterback over 200 yards passing tonight.
good to see a shot like that to overcome those early turnovers. And one thing Kent Stabler's not going to do is be scared to throw the football. And you see he gets the big completion, big first down to Tim Brown. And the Raiders are off and rolling here, flirting with midfield.
Twice led the NFL in touchdowns. He was a gunslinger, and in the big moments was not afraid to play those Steelers. In fact, he beat the Steelers twice during his career in the postseason, 1973, and the Super Bowl season of 1976. He is not afraid of the moment today. 2nd and 5, and what may be the final play of the third. Stabler looks, and he's going deep. Intercepted by Polamalu at the 35. He breaks a tackle at the 40. Polamalu's in a foot race, and Troy Polamalu goes all the way. Touchdown, Pittsburgh.
What a back-breaking play by Troy Polamalu. He's done it before. Terrible towers are out flying. We still got a whole quarter left, Nick, but that might be the game right there.
Troy Polamalu, one of the 19 Hall of Fame players for this franchise, and he was the face of it for about a decade and a half, and makes the biggest play of the playoffs so far for them. Two-pointer is good as well to Brown. Steelers have done very little today on offense, but their defense has been their offense tonight.
Yeah, it's been what they needed. That alone would have kept them in the running, this pick six here. With the defense just carrying the team, the steel curtain, as they've done in years past. The offense doing enough, but definitely carrying the chariot here has been the defense.
And we'll go into the fourth quarter with the Raiders down 2 touchdowns and also down one of their best players. Tim Brown is hurt and will leave the game before we come back to Pittsburgh in a moment. It's the Steelers just 8 minutes away from the Dream Bowl as they lead Oakland, Las Vegas by 14. Nick Rice, Phil Nunziata, Hank Cinnamon. It's the all-time rosters franchise Final Four. In the AFC, it's the Steelers and Raiders with Pittsburgh in front by 14. Stabler, a hot and cold ball game today. Nearly picked off again. That pass to Branch.
Number 21.
So like I said, it's very hard to think that the Raiders are going to be able to come back in this one, but a big drive here is the first step.
First snap of the day from Devontae Adams at receiver. Stabler looks the other way. This time there's no dropped interception. Mel Blount brings it back, not for a touchdown, but another great return. 4 interceptions from that defense tonight.
It's an interception party, and everyone's involved. Here's Mel Blount getting into the action here, and looks like he had a chance to take it all the way, but he's eventually shoved out by Marcus Allen, and Pittsburgh's rocking, but this is not the way the Raiders thought they'd go out today.
A pitch to Franco Harris. Interceptions today, for those of you joining us, from Rod Woodson, Donnie Shell, Troy Polamalu, and Mel Blount. All inductees into the Hall of Fame, all some of the best players of their position in NFL history. Raiders are a great franchise, but it's not looking good at all, considering the talent on the other side as well. Incomplete to Brown. 3rd down coming up.
You see the 3rd down conversion there for Pittsburgh, 50%, pretty decent, but when your defense is playing the way it is, it could be forgiven to not convert them all.
They won't convert this one either. Field goal make it a 3-possession game.
On the run.
And Pittsburgh's got that champagne on ice. Just an incredible franchise, and they're going away with this one after trailing early by 7 on the Art Powell touchdown. It's been all Pittsburgh ever since, as they lead 27-10. Kickoff here from Sweesom. Number 28, Josh Jacobs, his first touch of the day, and it is a touchback. A look at the numbers, and the Raiders have more yards than the Steelers tonight.
Which is surprising because they've not gotten a single rushing yard since this second half has begun, even with that drive they had rolling. They've abandoned the run pretty much altogether, which you kind of have to when you're down this many points. But early on, they've decided they were going to try and throw on these guys, and Pittsburgh made them pay.
And it just seems every pass thrown from Ken Stabler seems to be right in position for an interception. I mean, good luck, unless the Raiders pull off the miracle here, good luck to either Joe Montana and the 49ers or Roger Craig and the Cowboys, whoever plays these guys, because, man, it seems every pass thrown from either quarterback is in a Steeler hand. This one, yet again in a Steeler hand, nearly picked off by Woodson. And the Raiders have had enough of Ken Stabler. They're going to make a quarterback change. This is Daryle Lamonica, the Mad Bomber, checking into the game here late in the fourth quarter. Lamonica fires, and he doesn't even hit anybody on that play. Incomplete.
I mean, I said it earlier, but I really mean it now. The Pittsburgh defensive backs have been running the routes for Oakland at this point. It's crazy to see how they've dominated them from the secondary standpoint.
Daryle Lamonica, two-time AFL Player of the Year in the 60s and 70s. He was the quarterback right before Ken Stabler took the league by storm and helped them win the Super Bowl in 1976. Look at the numbers today. Big Ben, it's amazing. If he takes a knee the rest of the game, Steelers still should have this one wrapped up.
Yeah, I would think so. It would take a lot of mistakes in quick succession to get the Raiders back in this one.
Roethlisberger, certainly a dangerous runner at 6'5", 240 pounds. He gains 8.
If you're Pittsburgh here, I mean, I would just run the ball, take as much time off the clock as possible. Who cares if you punt? Because the Raiders need 17 points and they need it in a hurry.
Le'Veon Bell is their running back here, but they're going to feature John Stallworth, it appears. Indeed, they will. He is buried in the backfield. An interesting story with Le'Veon Bell. He was on track to be one of the best running backs of his era, and then had that contract dispute in 2018 and just was never the same. Such a strange career with how short it was.
When you talk Le'Veon Bell, though, one of the biggest things people bring up is his patience to run. He was in no hurry to get the hole. He would stand flat-footed and wait for the hole to open and then explode. Just one of the things that made him unique in his day.
Franco Harris, what made him unique, he was one of the biggest backs. He was like a fullback running the football during the 1970s. He's got a first down.
Another big first down here. Like I said, a cornerstone for Pittsburgh's success in their heyday, and looks like he's going to be part of another championship run as this clock continues to tick down.
Steelers also make a quarterback change. Terry Bradshaw with his first snaps of the playoffs. MVP winner in 1978, and certainly helped win those 4 Super Bowls with John Stallworth and that air raid passing attack. First down, Pittsburgh. Good luck, San Francisco or Dallas, whoever plays these guys in the Dream Bowl. What an incredible franchise this is. Bell taken down to the line.
Yeah, either way, whoever wins that other matchup, we're going to have 2 of the biggest brands in the NFL facing off for the Dream Bowl. That would have been the case either way for this one. But it's Pittsburgh stamping their ticket. They can go home and see the other side fight it out for a right to meet them in the Dream Bowl.
And certainly no shame for the Raiders, a franchise with 3 Super Bowls, 14 Hall of Fame players. They're the darling franchise of this league, the Dream Season Football League. No shame in all the times they've made it to the Dream Bowl, and to fall short in the championship game, certainly an impressive feat just to get here. Bell short of the first down to the 4, timeout Raiders. 21-yard field goal from Sweesham. And that kick is good. That puts the finishing touches on this one. Congratulations to the all-time Pittsburgh Steelers who have punched their ticket to the Dream Bowl to face either San Francisco or Dallas. A dominant second half, 4 interceptions from the defense. Phil, what are your thoughts of this franchise and their performance today?
Just a defensive performance for the ages. There's Troy Polamalu. I hope there's a line of defensive backs behind him to be interviewed after this one, because it was just dominance by the Steel Curtain.
The all-time Raiders jumped out to that early lead with the Art Powell touchdown, then were outscored 30-3 by the AFC champion Pittsburgh Steelers. It's been a thrill to bring you this far. We've got the biggest game and the best game of the year coming up in 2 weeks. The all-time Steelers throttled the Raiders 30-10. For outstanding broadcast crew, Hank Cinnamon in our halftime studios, Nick Rice and Phil Nunziata, it's the Steelers over the Raiders in a blowout. This is the All-Time Rosters franchise with Charger Do 95.